Good morning, everybody. Well, if it's not morning here, that's okay because you can eat eggs for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Welcome to episode three of Three Eggs Are Better Than One. I am Brad Stanton, joined as always with Matt M. and Brian Haremza. We would like to thank everyone for all the excellent feedback last week, all the views, all the comments, and my microphone is falling. We thought that even though we may have covered a dud of a movie, that you got the insights you needed from it and now think a little bit differently about Bruce Willis. Also, you don't have to go back in time to realize that maybe Ivan Drago was misunderstood. But let's get this party started. What's your good news of the week with Sunny Side Up, Bryant?
Well, for me this week, I think the sunny side up is just I've had gotten a lot of good news on the family side. We've got Thanksgiving coming up here next week, and I found out that my brother who lives in Idaho will actually be making the trip back home. So getting the chance to see my brother who I haven't seen in probably 3 years at this point has kind of been a nice addition. And now I'm literally looking forward to the Thanksgiving time here. So how about you, Matt?
My sunny side up, ironically, is that it's raining. And we have not had rain here for, I actually honestly don't know how long, but probably something like 6 weeks, which is ridiculously long for the Northeast area where I live. So it rained like once, maybe 2 weeks ago for like an hour, and it was no big deal. It's been raining for like a good 24 hours, some heavy rain. Everyone's out there driving like they've never been in rain before because everyone forgot over the last 6 weeks. But, there's been drought concerns, wildfire concerns, all that Smokey the Bear stuff has been happening around here. So we really needed the rain. So that's my sunny side up.
So that's so funny that you say that because I actually have to cross that off here.
I
No,
thought I thought whoever won first between me and you was gonna get the edge on that one.
I actually was going to leave that up to you since you've been mentioning the wildfire fires lately. So, but we have officially become old men now that we're talking about the weather on the show, right? And Brian, it's great that you're seeing your brother after 3 years. And I mean, it's great that you have someone that lives in Idaho, Nebraska, Idaho. It's small towns, huh? Small towns. So
Yeah.
my sunny side of the week is it started out not so sunny side up. So on Tuesday night, I get home and it was a later night at work. I stayed about an hour and 15 minutes past close. It takes me about 40 minutes to get home. And I get home and about 6 minutes into my favorite show with my wife, Dancing with the Stars, uh, the power goes out in the living room. However, it's not out in the kitchen. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I go, hun, since you blocked everything in front of the breaker box and I can't get to it anymore because my wife is a pack rat, you're gonna have to go out there and check it because I can't get through. So she goes out there.
Was it blocked with crock pots?
There might be a crock pot there. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a crock pot there. So, but then I realize there's not just the living room that's out. It's up. It's like the hallway. It's the front door. It's my daughter's rooms. It would be several breakers. You know what I mean? Not just one breaker. So nothing's out of order out there. But it is weird because it's half our house. And it's 9 o'clock at night at this point. So there's not much we can do about it except we report it to Pico and they're not going to do anything about it. So we come up here because the cable boxes are connected to that too. And I was able to connect my laptop to, the internet because we were getting the internet. We were able to switch that, but not the cable box. Anyway, long story short, we just went to bed after that. We wake up and everything's still the same. But I'm nervous, and because I didn't sleep very well at night. I don't like problems. Okay. I said I went to bed, but I really didn't sleep well. The dogs are in bed because they know something's wrong and they're freaking out. So I'm like up and I'm thinking, how much is this going to cost me? Because apparently it's a party of one. You know what I mean? Like we reached out to the neighbors. Everybody else's house was fine. So now what's wrong with my house? So, but the first goal is to call Pico, which is the electric company. And luckily they came out and fixed the wire and everything was up and running by 10 o'clock in the morning, which is great news because it cost me absolutely nothing. You don't, there's roofs that go bad, there's siding that goes bad, there's leaks, there's oil heaters, and it's Christmas time and let's face it, I was not interested in dishing out any additional money at this time of year. So thank you to Pico for coming out and getting it done right away. I know you ignored me the night before, but I get it. It was raining and we don't know how to drive in it anymore, right, Matt?
Hmm. So it was raining. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's funny you say that about the needing a new roof because on my house did need a new roof recently. It's a very old house with a very old roof, and We got a brand new roof put on like literally 5 or 6 weeks ago, and it hasn't been tested until today because it hadn't rained until today. So I was hoping that roof worked good, but I'm actually in the top floor of my house right now, and it seems to be pretty good.
Everything's in order.
Everything's in order. Dry.
All right. So let's get to the hard boiled because that's what we're here for anyway. Who cares about the good news, right? Nah, kidding. So I want an opinion. First, yeah, first forget the opinion. I want to know, do you guys have Amazon Freshes in your area?
Amazon Fresh,
Yes, the store. That's what it's
uh,
called, right?
like that you can physically go to brick and
Yeah,
mortar.
yeah.
I've never seen one.
Okay.
I didn't even realize that was a thing. So
Yeah, me
no.
neither.
So not only is it a thing, okay, it just became a thing in the area here. It's fresh food, stuff like that. What is the reason for Amazon? Cheap,
Delivery?
So you don't
quick,
have to leave your house.
right? Cheap and quick. I go in there and everything is expensive and I have to go in. It is the complete opposite of everything Amazon stands for.
Yeah.
When the whole point of Amazon is to put everybody else out of business. Now they're gonna have stores, and not to mention, I'm driving down Route One here, which is the like they call it the super highway. It's just a road, and the Amazon Fresh billboard lights up the entire road at night. It is blinding. We get it. You have a store. We're all impressed, but there is nothing impressed about Amazon Fresh. Stick with ordering it online. $11 for some candy corn. Move on. Move
So
on.
that has to be like a competitor with Whole Foods. I mean,
It is.
that's what that's not that's more in the competition with Whole Foods area than it is trying to be an extension of the Amazon that we all know and love.
Do you know what Amazon started as?
If I had multiple choice, I might get it right. I don't remember.
Books.
Books.
Books. Cheap books.
No, we actually used to have there's a mall here that used to have an Amazon bookstore. So I have been in an Amazon store, physical Amazon store. It's
All
not
right.
there anymore.
So moving on. Uh, there's a place down in Philadelphia called the Academy of Music. My wife and I go there a couple times a year. It's basically traveling Broadway. Okay. So the traveling Broadway is there. Now, last year at this time, they had the play Wicked, which I really wanted to see. This year they have the play Hamilton, which I really wanted to see. But here's the problem. It's now. It's right now. And they're always right now. What's wrong with spending $350 right now? Or actually a month ago, or like a few weeks ago. The problem is that Christmas is in a month and I'm already buying gifts. So my wife says to me, she goes, that's okay. Just give me a gift early. No, no, see, it doesn't work that way. We all know it doesn't work that way because you're going to buy the gift early and then you're going to buy the same amount of gifts anyway. So I have it in my mind that I just can't do it. Where do you guys stand on that? Is there a certain time of the year, like November, where you're like, everything is cut off for major purchases except for Christmas? Or are you guys just spending all your money away?
Oh no, I cut off right around November 1st. I start making all my cutoffs of like, if you want Christmas gift ideas, here's my ideas. And then I just cut everything off from there because big purchases is all about Christmas.
Exactly. Matt?
Yeah, I don't know. See, I really only buy gifts for like my son and like, other kids in the family. And we kind of, the adults kind of stopped, put an end to that in recent years, just giving for each other. I don't know.
So
Uh,
I still buy the gifts for my like wife like that. We never outgrew that. I feel like we try to outdo each other to a point where it's obnoxious.
yeah. I
Yes.
mean, I don't, we're not, I mean, we love Christmas, of course, especially with a young child, but we're not, we don't like to tie ourselves to holiday traditions too much. Like, if we want to buy stuff, we buy it. If we want to buy something for each other, we'll do that. It doesn't have to be attached to anything. It's more likely that it's not going to be attached to like a Valentine's Day or something, Like, it's just, we're very off schedule people, off cycle people.
Well, my point is that because of this, I'm missing out on some performances I would like to see. I'm a guy that likes plays. I've made that
Yeah.
clear before in the past, and it's expensive. It is expensive, and it's also a day that you spend money while you're there. Let's
Of
not forget
course.
that it's it's
Mm.
it's so like $300 total probably to go. Then I park for $50, $50. Then the wine that I have to buy is $12 for a glass that I could buy a bottle of somewhere else. It ends up being a $500 day overall because we're having dinner. We're not having dinner. I'm just saying this time of year, I actually wish these plays would be like the week after Christmas. Because then I could buy it for Christmas and we could go New Year's week. But no, 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 no. It's all over by then. One more thing. That night, by the way, that I'm so happy about that, the electric went back on the next day. One thing that happened that night is we had our dogs in our bed, and my dog Ozzy stepped directly onto my balls, which is a great freaking aim, by the way. And I jumped and yelled, and my wife laughed. And let me tell you, you know what I said back? It's not funny. It's not funny. It hurts. Anyway, that's hard boiled for me this week. I'm going to kick it over to Matt because he's got something new. Rotten eggs. Matt, what's that?
All right, first time with the rotten eggs topic. Rotten eggs, bad experiences. So the true person who's going to be talking about that is Bryant, but I'm going to give a little background here. You may have heard the news. The legendary roller coaster King Ka is shutting down.
I did hear.
I'll give you a little backstory here. This is located at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. It opened in 2005, at the time the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster. It reaches a height of 456 feet and has a launch speed of 128 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds. And if you're looking at the image of it here, or if you're familiar with it, it's actually, but I think this is so interesting and amazing and wild. It is possible to get launched and make it like all the way to the top of the peak there and not have the weight distribution correct, and the train just falls all the way back down and roll. It's designed to do that, of course, but it'll roll all the way backwards and you kind of have to try again, which
I have to jump in real quick here, Matt, because I have been here as well. And I go on every roller coaster there is. And if you're looking at this, if you guys are on our audio only, you need to come and look at this on YouTube because this shape of this thing, that is not a statue in the background. That is the roller coaster. I want everybody to understand that. And I saw people stuck on that and go back down, and I will go on anything. I did not go on this. I'm sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No. So I mean, it's a pretty simple track. You get launched to the 120 miles per hour. You go up to 456 feet. It kind of softly peaks over the top there, so you're kind of frozen in time for like 3 seconds, and then it plummets back down, and there's one hill to slow you down, and that's the whole ride. So yeah, it was just recently announced that the ride is now permanently closed. It's going to be decommissioned along with some other rides to make room for future attractions. This news was met with some public backlash. I mean, I was pretty I was a little bit affected by it. Um, just because it was a special roller coaster. I mean, it was a global leading coaster for a while. And it was also like hard to obtain. In all my times visiting Six Flags over the years, I actually only rode it one time. And I feel very happy that I did get that one chance. It was often plagued with closures for mechanical failures or inclement weather. If it was too windy, they would have to close it, just because of the narrowness and the tallness of the structure. Or, you go there and there's like, a 2.5 hour wait or something. And I don't know, maybe I didn't have the fast pass or whatever at the time. And I don't even remember. It's at least 10 years ago was when I was on it, maybe more than that. But it holds a little bit of a special place in my heart. So, Brad, I was going to ask you if you've ever ridden it. You're from, you're somewhat adjacent to that area of the country as well, like me. But it sounds like you passed.
I did pass. I've been on everything at that park, but I do go there usually once. I used to go every year. I actually used to have a season pass with the whole family, but I would not go on that thing. And it's because of that going all the way up and falling back down.
Yeah. Even though it was designed to do that.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Doesn't look normal.
Okay. So that brings us to why King Ka and roller coasters is our rotten eggs of the week. Take it away, Brian.
I was wondering where this was going as I was reached out to and asked about roller coasters. So I have a fear/hate roller coasters. And it stems from a family trip we took when I was younger to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City. I was convinced by my mom that going on a roller coaster would be fun and be a great time, you know? And the problem was normally when you go on a roller coaster, they put you with, people comparable. So that way, the seats are adjusted fine and, you have no fear of anything. Well, they stuck me with my brother, and we're both young kids. I was 9 at the time, he was 10. So my mom and dad are in front of me, and the guy comes through, clicks the thing down, and we're like, all right, how bad can this be? And you take the first little wave, and you kind of feel that jolt. Take the next one, you feel the jolt. And then you don't realize that it's just a drop right after that. And the drop hits, and I clutch the handle. And as I clutch it, my brother and I realized that it came up. So he like clicked it down, but didn't lock it. So it came up. So literally the only thing at this point holding my brother and I in is us. And every turn, naturally, we're small, so we can't fit the seat. So we slide and we slide and we slide. And then we look up and we realize as we're going down another dip, my dad reaches up and just like grabs something and just goes like this and spends the rest of the ride just hugging something. And we're like, what the hell was that? And then you go back to just worrying about as all of a sudden you go for another dip and the handle comes up. You gotta push it back down. And so we're freaking out. And my mom is, enjoying herself up front. And my brother, for some reason, also enjoying himself. I don't know why. I guess the fear of falling out just made it amazing. I'm freaking out. We finally get done. And I'm just clutching the rail because I'm afraid to let go at this point. And then I finally realize I can let go. I get out. I'm like sick to my stomach. And then my dad gets out, and I realize that he had lost his glasses, and my mom had lost her glasses. Well, it turns out the one time I saw my dad reach up and go like this was him grabbing his glasses to bring them back in, so that way he didn't lose them on the roller coaster. And ever since then, I have hated them, been terrified of them, and will never go on one for the rest of my life.
I mean, that'll do it. I get it. I mean, it's anything. It's like if a snake bites you on your mouth, you don't like snakes. Like, you know what
Exactly.
I mean? Like, I get it. You had a bad experience. You're 0 for 1.
No
good.
and my mom keeps telling me, she's like, "Well, go on another one. It'll be fun." I go, no. One was good. I'm done from there. Don't care.
One
Like,
and done.
yeah, we have like even when we've had like our county fair brings in like this little little kid kind of roller coaster thing. Like my nephews wanted to go on it. I'm like, nope, you can go with your aunt. I'm just gonna stand over here. Like I'm not getting on that thing either.
Well, those
Don't
county
care.
fair ones are way worse than anything you're
Oh
going to have
God,
at a
yeah,
major amusement park.
yeah,
Those things come in a truck and they put them together and they keep putting them together and they go somewhere else. These carnies, you know what I'm talking about.
exactly. Yes. So, but because of that incident and seeing the picture now, realizing what that roller coaster is, I probably would have died. Like I'm convinced I would have fallen out somehow, or it would have gone down and I would have fallen out. I don't know, but I guess thankfully we're down one more roller coaster in the world, and I'm okay with that. So
It's actually two. They're closing another one called the Green Lantern.
Oh, you know what? I'm glad they're closing that one because that's another one. You stand up for that one.
Yeah,
And I'm going to
everybody
tell you what,
hated that one.
what?
every time afterwards, I have this headache. Like I get this headache from that run. That's first, there's a lot of really bad roller coasters there. The Superman is bad because you're like this.
I
You're
don't like a
straight out.
Superman
If you
one.
understand, you're straight out. You're leaning. Brian, listen to this. You think you had it bad.
You're
You're
hanging.
leaning on the bar
You're
What?
hanging.
because you're
No,
flying.
no,
You're flying. And let me
no.
tell you something. Going on a loop when you're flying forward is a sensation that I can't explain. Also, they have the Joker there. The Joker is like a giant zipper. Okay,
Don't
you know the
ride that.
zipper ride?
I
Mm.
would never. I looked at that thing and I'm like, I am not getting on that.
First off, the zipper sucks. So you're in that cage and you're going on a roller coaster and you're going like, no,
The roller
out.
coaster tracks, you're
Nitro,
in a
King,
flipping.
and then that other one. That's it. Up and down, up and down.
Nitro's amazing. Medusa's amazing.
What was the wooden one? I think they got rid of that one too.
That
The
one just sounds like it would fall
the
apart.
The
old
one that has
wooden
a
one.
Latino name,
There's El Toro.
El Toro. Yes. Well, it does.
Yeah.
I like that one. That's it.
Well,
Yeah, no.
Brian, they are introducing new ones, so I think they're adding one the next season and
If it
building.
puts me in like a giant bubble where I can like have like several seat belts like over my shoulders, around my waist, my feet, hold me in and hug me,
Why don't you
maybe. But
stick
until then, no,
to
no,
why don't you stick to the simulators then?
Hey, maybe the Joker is right for him then. You are in a cage.
maybe. So that's my story. Thank you, Maz. Back to you, Brad.
All right. So this week we're going to do something called soft boiled. I don't know if this was ever something Matt named on the title list because I don't know
Wasn't.
if you guys know this, but Matt has a list of titles, topics. I think I added this one.
You did.
So what soft boil is? It's a very going to be a very short kind of segment. It's me. What are we listening to? What song got you this week? Every week, there's this music, old songs, new songs, songs you've heard 100 times, songs you didn't expect you would like. So Matt, what song got you this week?
All right. So I listen to a lot of music. I'm a big rock fan. I'm a '90s alt rock type of guy. It's when I was in my teen years and all that. So I've always been a big fan of The Offspring, and they actually continue to put out new music regularly. I don't know, it's this sort of band where people probably know a bunch of their hits from the '90s, but maybe you're not keeping up with them anymore. But their recent albums, I gotta say, are pretty darn good. They know how to capture that poppy, punky, mainstream sort of sound that's, can be on any radio station sort of thing. So they've got a new album called Supercharged. And the first song on the album is called Looking Out for Number One. And it's super catchy, super fun sounding. If you like rock music or, alternative rock at all, you'd probably dig it. And it's been in my head all week.
Fantastic. So for me, I am a big fan of Simon and Garfunkel. I have the Central Park album. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a live album from Central Park. It was actually a free concert many years ago. I believe it was before I was even born, which is hard to believe. I bet, guys, huh? Things happened before I was
Yes.
born. So one of my favorite songs on there is The Sound of Silence. The Sound of Silence, you would know it as Hello, Darkness, My Old Friend. Now everybody knows what I'm talking about, is what I'm getting at. So they released that in 1964. So what it is, the song is about the inability of people to talk and communicate with each other. It's also like an oxymoron. Sound of silence. Silence doesn't have a sound, but it does. But it kind of does, doesn't it? Like the quiet gets you. And it's been in many movies. Kingpin is one. That was the one with Woody Harrelson as the bowler. It's been in Old School. That's the one where everybody's like adult and they're back pledging a fraternity. There's a movie called Bobby that I don't know. The Graduate and The Watchmen and Trolls. Remake in 2015 by Disturbed. It's an extended version, and it is excellent. So excellent that Paul Simon actually called him and said, "This is excellent." I recently heard it again. All right, so just I do try to work out. I do something here and there. I hate the treadmill. I like running in the neighborhood. I hate the treadmill, but it was just one of those days where I was there. I was running low on time. Let's jump on the treadmill. And I struggle because you're so freaking boring. It's just so boring on there. But then it hits at about the 12-minute mark. I hear the song. And the song, Sound of Silence by Disturbed, it just builds and builds and builds. And it gives you that energy that you need. And you're like, yes. So yes, that is my song of the week.
Yeah, the Disturbed rendition that really like revitalized that band's career when they did that.
Mhm.
I mean, they still tour and play that every night, and it's a big deal. And I mean, they played Madison Square Garden and stuff. I don't think all that would happen if they didn't put that out. Also, the original Simon and Garfunkel version occasionally appeared on Arrested Development in comedic fashion, so I don't want to leave that out.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Brian, what do you got?
Well, for me, one of my favorite bands is Cage the Elephant. They recently came out with a new album right during the summer here this year, and they currently on a worldwide tour right now. One of the songs on their album I've been playing a lot on repeat lately. It's called Rainbow. It's kind of one of those uplifting songs talking about supporting each other, taking care of each other, and they're just kind of trying to spread that message of we need to look out for each other. And it's been one of those songs that it's got that catchy beat. It's not something that you hear all the time, so when you hear it, it's different and it kind of helps catch it. And makes it a great listen, and I recommend it for anybody out there who has not heard it before. So,
Well, I know
but
Matt's a big fan.
yes,
I'm not a fan.
You never lie. You never lie.
yeah. So, but that's my song, Brad. Back to you, man.
So here it is, huh? We teased it. We talked about it. I've been stressing about it. I've read it to Sue twice. I mean, come on now. So we're going down the rabbit hole. Down the rabbit hole. What if, just what if Tom Brady actually did fumble in the American League in the AFC divisional game against the Oakland Raiders? What if he did fumble? What does that mean for Tom Brady? What does that mean for the NFL? What does that mean for Bill Belichick? What does that mean for the world? Well, let's dive right in. First, I want to say that this segment, it was inspired. I'll tell you what inspired me to do this. Is a show on Apple TV. It's called For All Mankind. For All Mankind is a show that what if the Russians beat the United States to the moon in 1969, and then the butterfly effect that happened afterwards. Also, I want to mention that there is a 30 for 30 called the Tuck Rule on ESPN. I have not watched it, but I plan on watching it tonight after this because I didn't want that to influence anything I said here. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about stats. First off, let's talk about Tom Brady's stats. He was a QB for Michigan from 1995 to 1999. In 1995, he redshirted. If you don't know what that means, redshirted means that he gave up a year of eligibility so he can have 4 more years after that. In 96 and 97, he was the backup. In 98 and 99, he was the starter, but in the 99 season, he shared a lot of time with Drew Henson. Overall, he was 20-5 as a starter, winning the Citrus Bowl and the Orange Bowl. He graduated with a degree in general studies, which is very, very important to the outside world. I wonder what he really wanted to do. Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round by the New England Patriots. He was projected to be drafted earlier than that, but had a very poor combine performance. Now, Bill Belichick, head coach of the New England Patriots, the dynasty, the greatest coach of all time, right? Well, not always. Not always. For the most part, he was a backup up until now, except for a 91 to 95. He was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. What was his record there? 6-10, 7-9, 7-9, 11-5, and then 5-11. But he was instantly fired when the Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore. So how did Tom get the starting job? At first, Tom Brady was 4th in the depth chart. By the end of the first season, though, he was a backup to Drew Bledsoe. In 2001, Drew Bledsoe signed a 10-year, $103 million extension. So you know what that means? He was not going anywhere. He was the plan. However, after an injury in the second game of the 2001 year, Tom Brady took over the starting role and Drew never got his job back. Which brings us to the game, the 2001 AFC divisional game between the Raiders and the Patriots. The name of the game, the Tuck Rule game, originates from the controversial play that changed the course of the game. In the 4th quarter, Raiders cornerback Charles Woodson tackled Patriots quarterback Tom Brady, causing what game officials initially ruled to be a fumble. That was covered by the Raiders linebacker Greg Biekert. I hope I got that right. However, upon review of the play, officials eventually determined that even though Brady had seemingly halted his passing motion and was attempting to tuck the ball back into his body, it was an incomplete pass and not a fumble under a then effective NFL rules. As a result, the original call was overturned. Had it stood, the play would have sealed a victory for the Raiders. The ball was instead given back to the Patriots, who subsequently moved into field goal range. With under a minute remaining in regulation time, Patriots placekicker Adam Vinatieri in the snow kicked a 45-yard field goal to tie the game at 13, sending the game into overtime. In overtime, Vinatieri kicked a 23-yard field goal to win the game for the Patriots. New England went on to win the Super Bowl 34, beginning a run of championships with Brady and head coach Bill Belichick, appearing in 9 Super Bowls and winning 6. Due to the game's controversial call, dramatic overtime finish, and the significance in kickstarting the Patriots dynasty, it is regarded as one of the most famous and consequential games in league history and as an important part of NFL lore. So, but let's say it didn't happen that way. Let's say the play was ruled a fumble and the Raiders win the game. So let's first talk about let's talk about the rest of the playoffs that year. First, let's talk about, like I said, the rest of the playoffs. Pittsburgh beats Oakland in dominant fashion with the two quarterback system of Tommy Maddox and Cordell Stewart behind a great running game from Jerome Bettis and the awesome receiving play of Plexico Burress. From there, Pittsburgh loses the Super Bowl to the St. Louis Rams behind Kurt Warner with the greatest show on turf, establishing the Rams as a dominant team for years to come. So what happened to Tom? Tom Brady, unfortunately, fell into the choke artist conversation. Similar stars have had this happen. Who do you ask? Well, how about Tony Romo, who entered the 2006 season for the Dallas Cowboys as a backup but eventually earned a starting job? The Cowboys played the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC wildcard round on January 6th, 2007, with the Cowboys trailing 21-20 on a 4th and 1 with 1:19 left in the game. The Cowboys attempted a 19-yard field goal. Romo, the holder at the time. Why was he the holder? Because the backup quarterback was a holder back then. Fumbled the snap. He recovered the ball and attempted to run it, but was tackled short of the first down marker and turned the ball over on the Seattle 2-yard line. The Cowboys went on to lose the game, and Romo never won a championship. Or how about Vinny Testaverde, who threw 5 interceptions in the Fiesta Bowl against Penn State in 1989? He was the Heisman Trophy winner. He was the number 1 pick overall. 5 interceptions against a team he should have dominated. Then he goes to the NFL and has a good career, but never wins the big one. Or Chris Webber, who called a timeout in the final seconds of the 1993 NCAA basketball championship when Michigan didn't have any left, sealing the victory for North Carolina. And again, Webber never won the big one. After the season, Tom is cut by New England because of his fumble and team loss. Drew Bledsoe once again becomes the starter and is not traded. Brady is picked up by other teams as a backup, but never ever has any successes or an opportunity again. He leaves football. Not knowing what to do next, he's asked to join a reality show on VH1's The Surreal Life in its 4th season. On the show, he becomes fast friends with Vern Troyer. You know him as Mini-Me from the Austin Powers franchise. During the show, Vern introduces Tom to another contestant, Joni Lawler. You may know her as Chyna from the WWE. A year prior, Chyna had made an adult film, One Night with Chyna, and was looking for more in life. Tom and Chyna hit it off and started dating. 2 years later, the couple were married. They started a nonprofit together to help young girls who wanted more to life than the feminine norm, training them in combat sports. The name of the organization? Joni's Juggernauts. They later had twin boys, naming them Vern and Troyer after their friend that introduced them in that reality series.
Oh my God.
As for the Patriots, Drew Bledsoe had new energy the next year, starting the season 8-0, but was once again injured, causing the Patriots to miss the playoffs. In 2003, because of the QB uncertainty, the Patriots drafted Kyle Buller out of California. After an 0-3 start from Drew that year, Kyle took over the starting job. They finished the season 5-11 using both quarterbacks. But Bill Belichick is fired by the New England Patriots. He goes back to his role as a defensive coordinator for several teams until his retirement in 2011. He is still happily married to Debbie Belichick. Because of the chain of events, the New England Patriots dynasty never happened, leaving a major void in the football world because the world did not have the dominant QB that they loved to hate. It took a major blow. By 2032, football became the number 2 sport in the United States behind professional soccer. So what happened to Gisele Bündchen, the wife of Tom Brady? Well, because Tom never attained the star status, Gisele and him never met. At the 2006 Academy Awards, Gisele was introduced to Hayden Christensen. You know him as Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. 2 years later, the couple married, eventually having 3 boys, George, Lucas, and unbelievably Tom. They later divorced in 2024 because Hayden was planning on retiring. They were going to travel the world, but decided to do one more movie, and unfortunately, Gisele couldn't handle that. One final note, Aaron Hernandez, tight end drafted in 2010 for the New England Patriots, who was convicted of murder and later hung in prison, had a different story. Because Belichick was no longer with the Patriots, Hernandez was not drafted there. He was drafted in the 5th round by the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he excelled under the direction of Mike Tomlin. He never sustained the brain injuries, and as he did in the alternate life. Also, his off-the-field antics were overlooked because there was a bigger personality there, Antonio Brown. Hernandez had a Pro Bowl career and retired in 2019. Afterwards, he joined a tag team to WWE with Peyton Manning's favorite target, Rob Gronkowski. Team name, the Tight Ends. He is married to his longtime love, Shayna, and together they have 4 children. And that is what would happen if Tom Brady fumbled in the AFC divisional game. Hope you guys enjoyed that.
I am very impressed. I
I
did not
loved every moment.
I did not know quite what this segment was going to be. I thought it might I thought we might be called upon for some choose your own adventure type things. Um, that is an impressive piece of creative writing there. I could never have done that. I thought we were going to be uh, talking about certain points of his career and maybe some offshoots of certain things that happened to him. You know,
Just go
couple
ahead.
of Super Bowls here and there. You know, he was 6-3. He was 6-3 in the Super Bowls. Gee, I wonder what happened in those other three.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah,
There it is.
there it is.
There are so many different rabbit holes you can go on. We would do with this story.
Really excellent job in the inclusion of Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, Belichick stuff.
I want to ask this question though,
Very
when you go with you going down your rabbit hole here. That 2003 draft you mentioned, Kyle
Yeah.
Bowler,
Hmm.
threw me off a little bit. I figured you'd say Byron Leftwich.
I thought about it. I thought about it. I thought he might be too successful there.
Ah, that's a good point. Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
A couple of notes, though. I just didn't know if you guys knew this, but Giselle and Tom Brady met on a blind date, which is the most hysterical thing I've ever heard in my life because they both know who each other's looked like well before the blind date.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Tom Brady, you're Giselle. I wonder what she's going to look like. I wonder what he's going
Yeah.
to look. They're famous people. Also, I did say Romo earned the job. He actually didn't. Somebody got hurt
No,
for him to take that job. Do you know who it was?
it was Drew
Can
Bledsoe.
you believe it? It
Yeah.
all comes full circle.
And I want to say this is not fact checked. I think the team that injured Drew initially was the Jets,
You are correct. Yes,
and
it
I
was the
think
New
the
York
team
Jets.
that hurt him the second time might have been the Giants.
Mm,
I think
That
that,
I don't know.
I
That I
think
I
don't
that
know.
might, I think that might be true. Yeah,
I
'Cause-
thought it was very interesting that he had that 10-year, $103 million extension that year.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Because
So,
I remember thinking that like in the moment it was good that the Giants knocked out the quarterback, but then in comes Tony Romo, who had a pretty darn good career. You know,
Hmm.
yeah, he had a good career and he's a very smart announcer as well. He
uh,
knows his stuff.
he's my
He
favorite.
just,
He's my favorite announcer.
he knows what's happening before it happens.
He's
However, he
exciting.
never could win the big one. And I think there's something to that mistake that lives in your mind.
Alex,
Yeah,
it's down. It's like being on the Mets.
there you
But
go.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, you're right. You're right. Lately, I mean, they used to have a good team, but anyway, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
nicely done.
Yes. And for you, Brad, if you do watch that 30 for 30,
I'm watching it tonight.
at the end of it, they do their own what if would have happened. So you can compare yourself to the 30 for 30.
There
Well,
you
that's
go.
exactly why I didn't watch it.
Yeah,
Because
no, that was smart.
I actually watched 5 seconds of the first, like a minute and a half of it, and he said, "What would that have done for my career?" I'm like, "You're taking words out of my mouth, Tom. I can't have that."
Yeah. Before we close the carton on this topic, one more comment about that AFC playoff game. Forget about the tuck rule part of it. That was one of the most amazing games I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Legit snowstorm, snow actively coming down, field covered in snow, high stakes, and the performance level of everybody on that field was just phenomenal. I mean,
especially the kicker.
it was a
Mhm.
phenomenal performance in a temperature controlled dome. But to be out on that field in those conditions, it was every play was like, how are these guys doing this?
Mhm.
Amazing, amazing football game.
So for our next segment is cage free, and what this is out of character likes. Like what? So what about me? What about Brian? What about Matt? That you know so far that we know about each other. What do you mean that's what you like? So why don't you go ahead and start us off, Brian?
For me, one of my favorite activities that I've gotten into over the last probably 10 years now, and it only really comes around ever so often, but the World Championships are actually held here in Omaha in Nebraska, and that's curling. Curling, the Olympic sports. It is so much fun to watch. Like you just enjoy watching people throw the stones, your sweepers out there, just the precision you use to get the stones into the into the area to kind of get your points. It's so much fun, and it's something I never thought I'd enjoy until my friend, who is a big fan of it, just kind of sat me down, explained everything to me, and it's a ton of fun to watch. I've been to the World Championships in Omaha a couple times now, and the Olympics is a goal, but I know I'll never get there because foreign countries and all. So, but that's kind of my randomness for a like that I have. Brad?
So
I have a
you've curled. Wait a second. You've
yeah, we're
curled.
not done here.
No, 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 no. I've never done curling.
Hang
Never
on a
done it.
second.
Never done it. Never done it. But I have been like to practices. Like I've been able to like to see like a live practice and watch them do it, but never stepped out on the ice to do it.
One thing I have about curling is, and I want to know what you think, and then we'll go back to me, but it feels like a game that was made up in somebody's backyard while they were drunk. I mean,
100%. 100%. No,
with the
it feels like it's
squeakies,
that
like, let's
it's
move this thing. What?
it's like that sport. You're like, all right, I got to move this. Like somebody's in the backyard, I got to move this over here. All right, how do we do it? You do these little motions with a shovel or a broom, and you move it over there, and like this is the sport. I've always heard it referred to as it's the group of the neighborhood dads get together and that's the team, and that's kind of what this is too. And that's what makes it great because you see all the big athletes doing all these other sports, and then you look at this guy who I could see him at the grocery store, easy. Like he's just a normal guy. So that's why I love it.
So for me, I am half Italian and I'm half Irish. Now you would never look at me and say I'm Italian, but I am. My mother's last name is maiden name is Squattrito. Very, very Italian. Grandparents make excellent sauce. I come from, we just ate very well for when I was younger. However, as an Italian guy that only likes homemade Italian sauce, or maybe that special restaurant on the corner, like Billy Joel talks about, bottle of red, bottle of white. I think that the Olive Garden chicken parm is the best chicken parm out there. And I'm embarrassed to say it, but it is consistent, it is crispy, and it is delicious. Now, everything there, I don't agree this is perfect. I can eat it. I don't think it's bad, but I think that chicken parm is top notch. I know Matt's Italian.
You should feel shame.
I do feel ashamed, but I can't help what I like.
I think I've only actually even been to Olive Garden once.
That's un-American.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you throw a rock in this area and you hit any corner store's got a better chicken parm or breadsticks or whatever. This is
Matt,
very upsetting.
don't knock it till you try it.
Had I known this prior to agreeing to the podcast, this might be 2 eggs.
Well, let me talk about what's your out of character like?
So, my stuff's usually going to be in the entertainment area because I'm always listening to music, watching movies, stuff like that. So, for somebody who loves rock, as I stated before, heavy music, I have always been a very big fan of Gwen Stefani. I mean, no doubt has a rock band history, sure, but as Gwen has, blossomed into the solo artist star, megastar that she kind of is, I think, she's like straight up pop music, got a dancey vibe. And now that she actually just put an album out very recently, it's called Bouquet. It's very good. And it has a little bit of a country vibe to it. Not that I'm a country fan really, but she's married to Blake Shelton now, right? So they have a song together, and there's a couple other songs on there that are probably influenced by what her lifestyle is like now. So if you've known me, if you grew up with me, you're probably familiar that I've always adored Gwen, but it doesn't really fit into like my music playlist, but I still love her. And one more thing I want to say is most of you probably know her first husband was Gavin Rossdale of the rock band Bush. And they had 3 children together, all of which are boys. And to me, that says we've got at least 2 awesome rock bands on our way in like the next 10 years. If both of your parents are rock stars like that. So I'm looking forward to those bands.
So are you a holler back girl then there, Matt?
Uh, no, I don't think so. I'm got no comeback for this. So I guess I am.
My daughter, when she was a baby, if she was like not even 1, would find a way to dance to that song. I like Gwen Stefani. I think that's okay. I think
Love
it's
Gwen.
quite okay. And I like her personally too. I don't know her personally, but I like her whole attitude. I like everything
Yeah.
about her.
Yeah, her celebrity persona, I think, is a good one. You know,
Mhm.
I
Well,
don't
she was
think.
a nerd that made it. That's what she says. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the ska band version of No Doubt from the early '90s was, ska kind of a nerdy genre.
I love it. Love it. So Matt, it's going to go right back to you this week because we got your eggs Benedict.
My eggs Benedict. Okay, let's talk a little bit of wrestling, since we want to do that sometimes. Eggs Benedict favorite turns. Where are my notes here? So, I am a big fan of the WWE Bloodline storyline, which is still active. I think anyone who watches modern day wrestling would also agree that it's one of the better storylines probably ever. We're like 4 years into it now, too. I remember laughing a couple years ago when I think it was Paul Heyman said that we were only in like the fourth inning of the story, and like I was like, yeah, there's no way that's true, but it seems like that's actually true.
Yeah.
Um, so one of my favorite moments um, was on SmackDown in June of 2023 when the Uso brothers were sort of on the fence of whether or not they were going to be um, sticking with, our evil mega heel, their tribal chief Roman Reigns. Um, and Jay said to Jimmy, "You're out, and I'm out too." And then turned around and super kicked Roman.
Hmm.
And I was completely shocked by that moment. I thought they were actually going to split up the brothers right there. I was not expecting him to join him in that way. He totally fooled us with the presentation. I think it was a perfect moment. I think that whole time period there was the absolute peak of the storyline. Again, it's still going on. I still think it's very good. Um, but I think when it was still that core story, I think that was one of the most significant moments. So that's my eggs Benedict.
I I mean I love this the Bloodline storyline. I know Bryant loves the Bloodline storyline. I mean there's parts that were better than others, but
Sure.
I'm not gonna add an opinion of what else I thought might have been a better Benedict or less Benedict because it's your Benedict day. But that was a good one. That was a good one,
Mhm.
especially how it turns out.
Just it
Yes.
just caught me off guard. I mean, maybe it didn't catch everybody off guard. How it was like you know, you were kind of fooled. You knew something was going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen exactly like that.
And then to add to that, when the third brother, the Usos, and then they have Solo, when they were against Roman, and then Solo stood on their side and said, "But they're my brothers," and you thought again it was all going to be three brothers, but then he didn't, and it was
Mhm.
like, ugh, ugh.
It's
But we
really
know why now. We know why.
Yes.
it's really been good. I mean, I still think it's great week to week. And they've also paced it well. They don't it's not every week. They're not marching forward too much every week and just burning it out.
So for those of you wrestling fans, Survivor Series as this airs will be this coming weekend on Saturday, so November 30th, and it will be Bloodline versus Bloodline War Games. We know
Mhm.
five of the members of one side of the new 2.0 Bloodline. We have Solo, we have the Gorillas of Destiny, we have Jacob Fatu, and
Tongans.
hmm? What did you say?
I think they're called the Tongans officially.
I know.
Yeah, but still, we
I
know them as the Gorillas of Destiny.
They are.
Yeah.
That's Tongaloa, and yeah, I mean, I get really confused with their names sometimes because they're
Yeah,
very close to
Tongalo,
the same.
Tonga.
Yep. Very
And
similar.
then they were joined by Big Bronson Reed. On the other side, we have Roman Reigns and the Usos with Sami Zayn, and we still don't know who the fifth member is, but we all have a pretty good idea. But very good stuff, man. Very good stuff.
Yeah.
So Brian, tell us what next week is.
Well, next week I thought, we've done a good job introducing ourselves. We've had some fun going down these crazy rabbit holes. And I figure if we're going to fall down a rabbit hole, we need to fall deep, deep, deep down that rabbit hole. And I'd like to talk some crazy conspiracy theories. And I know we all believe in some. We all have one that we all feel is out there. And we're going to kind of discuss maybe one that Brad has, maybe one that Matt has, and one that I will die on a hill for as my crazy conspiracy theory. So On that note, Matt, where can the fans find us?
3 eggs are better than one cooks up every Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Follow us on YouTube at 3 eggs are better than one, the number 3, the letter R, and the number 1. Follow us on X and Blue Sky at 3 eggs are better, the number 3 and the letter R. And also at YesManBrad, at B Haremza, and I am at Purple Shirt Guy without the I.
Fantastic. Well, this has been a fun show, going through a bunch of different things, falling down a rabbit hole with, Tom Brady and really what could have happened. There's many different stories that could have happened, just like there's many ways to cook an egg. What's your preference? It's whatever you're looking for. We hope we've done a good job, and we hope you like what we're cooking up. The egg timer's been set. We'll see you guys next week.
Eggs out.